Imagine this. One company that owns more Bitcoin than any other on Earth could soon be forced into the S&P 500. That same index that drives trillions in retirement funds, pensions, and ETFs. If that happens, Wall Street money has no choice but to buy in. Add to that, Bitcoin is entering September, historically its weakest month, only to set up October, one of the strongest. So are we staring at a doom or liftoff? Let's break it down. What's up, family? It's Coach Masi, and you're locked into the Daily Hodl. This is your home for sharp Bitcoin insights, breaking financial news, and strategies that keep you ahead of the game. Let's get into it. First, let's talk MicroStrategy, or as it's known and currently branded as Strategy. Ticker is MSTR. This isn't just a software company anymore. Under Michael Saylor, it's become the world's largest corporate Bitcoin treasury. We're talking over 629,000 Bitcoin worth over $70 billion at current prices. So here's the headline. Analysts now give MSTR a 91% chance of being added to the S&P 500 if Bitcoin stays roughly above 95,000 by the end of Q2 2025. Why is that such a big deal? Because it did. Because the S&P 500 isn't just a list. It's a magnet for trillions of dollars in index funds, pensions, and retirement accounts. I just said that. Are you listening? If MSTR gets the nod, passive inflows could force $7 to $10 billion into the stock almost overnight. That means Bitcoin exposure, by proxy, would be absorbed into every 401k, every mutual fund, every retirement portfolio tracking the index. It's like sneaking Bitcoin in through the back door of Wall Street's biggest house. But here's the flip side. Some critics argue MSTR isn't a normal operating company anymore. It's more like a Bitcoin trust wrapped in a corporate shell. That volatility makes the S&P committee nervous. Historically, they've leaned conservative with inclusion decisions when it comes to stuff like that. So while odds look high, there's still risk that the committee drags its feet or outright says no. I doubt it because I think they want them in. But anyways, here's the kicker. MSTR is not waiting for permission. In August alone, they scooped up over 3,000 Bitcoin for $357 million. And earlier in the month, made their largest Bitcoin buy ever, $2.46 billion in one shot. That's aggressive conviction. And if the S&P denies them, they're still positioning as the de facto ETF for big money. This is where it gets spicy. If inclusion happens, demand shock could hit both MSTR stock and Bitcoin. If it doesn't, you still have one of the most aggressive corporate buyers of Bitcoin stacking at all-time highs. Either way, the story screams institutional validation. Let's talk seasonality now, because timing matters, and the calendar, well, it's playing a role. Historically, September is Bitcoin's Achilles heel. Over the past decade, it has average losses between 3.8 and 7.5%, making it Bitcoin's worst performing month on record. Why? Profit taking, fiscal year tax strategies, and traders moving into safer positions ahead of Q4 volatility. Even in bull years, September often brings red candles. But history doesn't end there. October has traditionally been Bitcoin's redemption arc. Average returns hover around 18.5% in October, and November has historically been even stronger. Think back, October 2021. Bitcoin ran to a new all-time high. October 20, Bitcoin exploded out of consolidation and never looked back. So here's the setup. If September dips, it often creates a launchpad. Smart money positions when retail is fearful, riding the October surge. And this year, we've got extra fuel. ETF inflows at record levels, corporate buyers stacking heavy, and potential S&P headlines brewing. Added up, in September, weakness could be the pregame for a fourth quarter rally. Of course, seasonality isn't destiny. Bitcoin can surprise in both directions. But ignoring historical cycles is like ignoring the tide when you're on the beach. You might stay dry for a while, but eventually the water moves. Okay, so let's layer in the financial backdrop. ETFs are crushing records. US spot Bitcoin ETFs have pulled in over 130 billion in assets, with BlackRock's iShares, also known as IBIT, leading the charge. We've seen 4 billion inflows in a single week. That's unprecedented. That's institutional money treating Bitcoin as a core allocation, not a side bet. Corporations are following. MicroStrategy is the headliner, but they're not alone. Tesla, Block, which was formerly Square, and others still hold sizable Bitcoin reserves. So what's the difference in 2025 is the scale. Companies are no longer buying a few hundred million. They're making billion-dollar plays. Macro trends are supportive. Inflation remains sticky, and debt ceilings are constant news. And fiat devaluation is a growing concern. Central banks keep printing, meanwhile, Bitcoin supply is fixed at 21 million. Scarcity narratives meets unlimited fiat. That contrast is resonating globally, especially with upcoming rate cuts. Global adoption whispers. Beyond El Salvador, we're seeing chatter in other emerging markets. Countries under currency pressure are experimenting with Bitcoin as reserve diversification. It's not mainstream policy yet, but the signal is clear. Nations are watching what America is doing. Put all that together, and you see why Bitcoin keeps absorbing capital, even with traditional markets are trying to gobble it up as well. Here's what it boils down to. MSTR's potential S&P inclusion could be a game changer for Bitcoin exposure. September is historically weak, but October has historically been rocket fuel. And institutional money is no longer testing Bitcoin, it's anchoring to it. This is not financial advice, it's for educational purposes only. So always do your own research, manage your own risk, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think MicroStrategy makes it into the S&P 500 in September? And will Bitcoin follow its September slump playbook, or will the year flip on its script? Drop a take in the comments. If you found today's video valuable, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with your crew who loves Bitcoin news just as much as you do. I'm trying to really grow this channel, and I could use your help. And this will always be the sharpest updates on the market. So, that's your Daily Hodl. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, and as always, Lead.Pray.Hodl. I'll see you in the next one.